Hey there, it's great to have you back with us listening to the Adventures in Advising podcast. If you can believe it, we are at episode 99. And just like we do every so often, we bring back a past guest to come back on the pod to host and interview our special guest for the episode. So without further ado, let's welcome back Dr. Marcedes Butler from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. For Dr. Butler's previous interview, check out episode 44 titled Finding Inspiration and Motivation. But since it's been a while, let me tell you a little bit more about Dr. Marcedes Butler. Marcedes holds a doctorate in educational psychology from the University of Southern California and a Master of Science in Counseling and Student Development in Higher Education from California State University, Long Beach. Marcedes seamlessly navigates between faculty and administrative roles. Currently, Marcedes serves as a Boys and Girls Club of Southern Nevada Fellow in partnership with the Collaborative Educational Programs in the College of Education at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Additionally, she is the founder of academichealth101.com and an active member of NACADA. She previously served as the Nevada liaison and currently holds the role of membership and awards coordinator on the NACADA Region 9 Steering Committee. Marcedes, welcome back to Adventures in Advising and being this episode's host.
Thank you, Matt, for allowing me to guest host today. You know, it really is a full circle moment for me transitioning from being a guest on the podcast in 21 to this hosting role. And I'm excited to continue the conversation with our esteemed guest today and looking forward to learning so much. Tashauna Stewart's journey began in Jamaica, where she spent her formative years before making a life-changing move to Las Vegas in 2009. Her educational pursuit led her to earn a Bachelor of Science in Human Development and Family Studies from the University of Nevada, Reno, and a Master's of Education and Counseling and Student Affairs from Northern Arizona University. Currently serving as an academic advisor within the Lee Business School at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Tashauna's dedication to student success goes beyond the confines of traditional advising roles. In addition to guiding students through academic pathways, she also serves as the advisor for Lee Business Connection, a pivotal student organization fostering professional growth and networking opportunities. Furthermore, Tashauna impacts her wisdom as an instructor for the first year seminar course tailored for business students, enriching their college experience. As a first-generation student, a person of color, and an immigrant, Tashauna's identity informs her unwavering commitment to serving students from diverse backgrounds. Her passion for inclusivity and equity drives her mission to empower students along college journey and ensure that they feel supported and valued at every step. Beyond her professional endeavors, Tashauna finds fulfillment in spending quality time with family and friends and exploring new destinations, embracing the joy of dance fitness. With a profound dedication to higher education and a relentless pursuit of professional and personal growth, Tashauna aims to continue making meaningful contributions to the field. Her aspirations include advocating for increased college access, particularly for marginalized student population. She's even contemplating pursuing a doctoral degree in higher education leadership. Tashauna and I had a chance encounter at the TEDx UNLV event where I was a speaker. We met in person for the first time at a Sister Circle lunch meeting, and I'm excited to learn more about her journey. With great pleasure, we welcome her to the Adventures of Advising podcast, where her insights and experiences will inspire our listeners. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for that intro. I am so happy to be here. So excited to get into it and share a little bit more about my journey and my story.
Okay, well, let's get started. Can you tell us about your journey into higher education and what inspired you to pursue a career in academic advising?
Yeah, so I kind of feel like the general idea and consensus is, no one goes into college or comes out of high school wanting to work in higher ed because, first of all, we don't really know what higher ed is. But I do know that for me, education has just always been such a great value that was imparted on me by my parents and grandparents. So from a very young age, I actually wanted to be a teacher. So when I started at the University of Nevada, Reno, I was actually doing a major in early childhood education. I wanted to work in kindergarten through second grade. I refused to do anything higher than second grade, which I think it's ironic now that I work with college students, but I just didn't know it at the time. I did not stay in elementary education for a long time. I actually ended up changing my major to human development and family studies because I learned about it. It was a part of the College of Education at UNR, and I realized that that one just had a lot more career paths that I could take that I was really interested in because I realized I did not want to be in the classroom full time. So I ended up getting my degree in human development and family studies. Throughout college, I was a resident assistant. So I worked in the residential halls, helping new students transition and acclimate to the college experience. I was also a student ambassador, giving tours on campus and doing recruitment events. I interned with TRIO scholars at one point, and I was able to attend the NASPA conference, which is the governing organization for student affairs. So all of those kind of exposed me a little bit more to the world of higher education. Towards the end of my undergrad career, I was kind of deciding between, do I want to do student affairs or do I want to do social work? Because out of my human development program, I kind of decided on social work at the time, but then having these other experiences, I started to think about higher ed and student affairs. The NASPA conference is probably what sealed it with student affairs for me. So that led me to applying to my master's in counseling student affairs program at Northern Arizona University, where I continued in graduate assistant roles within residential life. We had a college and career resource center, working with Upward Bound. So all of that kind of kept me within the higher education realm. And then once I was ready to graduate, it was time to apply for jobs. And I wanted to move back to Las Vegas because this is where my family is for right now. So I wanted to be back here. And of course, I started applying to jobs at UNLV. I kind of stumbled into academic advising as well because I wanted to do a lot of college access. And then I kind of thought about my experiences. My goal at the time when I was graduating grad school is that one day I wanted to be a director of some sort of college access program. So my kind of strategy was looking at all the things I've done already and what other experiences can I gain that would eventually help me get to that role. And from my undergrad and grad experiences, I did a lot of student life, but not a lot of academics. So I wanted to get that experience in academics. And that's how I ended up applying for an academic advising role. And thankfully got this role at UNLV within the Lee Business School. So that's kind of been my journey so far. This is still my first job out of grad school. And I just couldn't be more grateful for that.
So what caught me was that extended kind of college time, like going back to back from the bachelor's degree to the master's. Were you also working in those kind of access higher education roles? That's when you're working in housing. When you were getting a master's degree, kind of tell me how that connected from undergrad to your master's.
Yeah, so in undergrad, I worked as a resident assistant for essentially all the years after my first year. So they always said, you drink the student affairs Kool-Aid. And I was kind of exposed to those folks who were in those roles. I did have a mentor at the time. She worked for a program at UNR called First in the Pack. And she had gone through a master's program in higher ed. So I had that person to talk to kind of help coach me and lead me, talk through my options. And so I decided I wanted to continue doing that. So then my graduate program actually required me to have a graduate assistantship. So this was at Northern Arizona University. I was a graduate assistant there within residential life. I was not a hall director. I did not want to be on call, but I was more of a supportive role where I oversaw our community development center that the RAs utilized for their community building efforts. And then I was also an advisor for a student organization, the National Residence Hall honorary within that. So all of that kept me there. In our program, we were also required to have an internship. And that's how I stumbled on the Northern Arizona College Resource Center, which is housed at NAU. So I worked with them for all the time I was there. Actually, I really loved it. I kept working there actually after my internship hours ended. I ended up being an AmeriCorps member with them because that's typically how they hire their folks to work there. I was assigned to a high school in Arizona that I would visit weekly and work with the students there on all things career and college readiness, from resumes to getting involved, which I actually really, really loved. And then during the summers for grad school, I worked as an academy manager for the Upward Bound summer program, where they bring those high school students on campus to kind of get that college experience. So all of those kind of solidified for me that, I wanted to work in higher ed. I enjoyed that work that I was doing, especially with college access. So that's how that connection kind of came about for me.
Okay. Today marks actually 5 years that I've been working at UNLV. And so you've been at UNLV 2 years?
July will be 3 years, actually.
July will be 3 years.
Yeah,
and so,
yeah.
Like I mentioned, I heard your name early on, like super active on campus, that twist and turn to being nominated for a NACADA award, being able to present. I mean, summarize your experiences in these last 3 years, kind of on campus, and how that's intertwined into NACADA.
Yeah. So coming to UNLV was new for me. And as a student from UNR, if you know about the rivalry at UNR is very strong. But again, not UNLV, sorry, Las Vegas has been home since I moved from Jamaica. So I wanted to come back home. And I admired the fact that UNLV was just such a large school with a diverse student population. So I definitely wanted to work here. My first year was pretty low key, trying to get a hang of the advisor role, trying to figure out what my kind of style of advising was, what does it look like, what all the resources are, getting myself acclimated to campus, which I'm so thankful that I've had a supportive team within our office to help me do that. And then the more and more I heard about different opportunities, I'm the type of person to jump on almost every opportunity I hear about. I do have a problem saying no or taking on too much, but I started going to our advising council meetings, which is our larger advising community meetings for advisors across campus here. And this is where I started to hear about NACADA and wanting to go to NACADA conferences. And then later on, in probably the end of 2022, is when one of my colleagues came to us with the Stupski grant information. And Stupski is a nonprofit private foundation that funds education initiatives. They are a sponsor within NACADA, and they put out that call for proposals for advisors to create their own initiatives on campus that is catered to advisor wellness. They really wanted these initiatives to come from advisors themselves. I will say I was hesitant at first because I was like, well, I'm still kind of new to this. I'm only about a year or so in. I'm really just here to help students. Like, I love my peers, but I'm really here to help students. I haven't been doing this long enough to feel like I know how to better support advisors. But my colleagues were so supportive, and we just kind of put our heads together, brainstormed. And that really just kicked off my involvement with NACADA. We were able to write and also win the grant that we were going for so that we can implement our initiatives on campus. which then led to me going to NACADA conferences. Actually, I did go to a NACADA conference before that grant, I believe, in October.
Was that Orlando? Per my notes, that was Orlando.
I did go to Orlando, but before Orlando, I actually went to Portland.
You went to Portland. Okay.
I went to Portland as well. So Orlando came after. So Portland was my first one, and then it was Vegas in like a February, and then Orlando. So that's 3 NACADA conferences in less than 3 years, which I'm very grateful because I do enjoy going to conferences and getting that opportunity to network, learn from others in the field, and really just immerse myself into the experience. So I really had a lot of fun with those.
And you gave a great segue, just going back to the Lead Business School advising team, where I've had a chance to work closely with and had a connection with helping working grown adults graduate with their business degree. Yes. So really know like the synergy and the collective efficacy that you have. So just talk a little bit about being an advisor, particularly in the Lead Business School, where we know, like every university, everybody want to be a business major. There are prereqs on prereqs on prereqs.
Yes.
And the advising structure, from my opinion and what I've observed, is structured and informational. And so talk a little bit about that from the inside out.
Yeah. So advising at the Lead Business School is unique, but I'm also biased because I don't really have anything to compare it to. I don't have any other advising experiences, but we do have a pretty large caseload of students. They're very driven students, which is really awesome. They come from all walks of life, which is something that drew me to this role, is getting the opportunity to work with just a diverse population of students. You know, you have your students who are coming straight out of high school, we have veteran students who have served our country for years, and now they're coming back to get their degrees, and everything in between. So that's a really positive part of it. We have a lot of prerequisites for our classes. So, you know, a lot of our appointments tend to be going over and explaining those requisites and requirements. And, you know, one of my main goal as an advisor is I want to empower students through information and knowledge. So I try to, even though sometimes it could be information overload because there's just a lot that they need to do or a lot that they need to know, I try to spend as much time as I can really diving into the requirements to make sure that they have an understanding of the requirements, and then they're able to work around that to create their schedules and, you know, implement extracurricular activities, maybe internships, and all of those amazing opportunities. So I would say that's my experience with advising. It's appointment heavy, which I know is pretty common across advising centers. So throughout the days, our days are split with appointments and admin time because, of course, we have, you know, 50 million emails to get to as well, which is a challenge at times because sometimes I just sit there, I watch my emails filling up, but I have back-to-back appointments. So you're trying to sneak in a response in between, and it can be a lot. I think sometimes we try to continuously think of ways to empower students to find a lot of the information on their own, because they'll email us for things, or I'm like, you probably could have Googled that and get a response within 2 minutes from the website. So trying to navigate a lot of those questions can be challenging at times, but it works. It's rewarding as well. So yeah.
And you're also teaching. That's also in the Lead Business School. Is that the first or second year? Is that equivalent to your first or second year seminar?
First. So yeah, I teach Business 103, which is titled Business Connections. So that's our first year seminar course for business students, but it is open to anybody who want to take that first year seminar class. And that one I started within fall 2023, might have been 2022. Sorry, probably was my first semester teaching. So I taught fall 2022, fall 23, and I'm currently teaching this spring as well. So we essentially have a class of about 24 first year students. As we know, that kind of transition from high school to college kind of hits you like a truck at times. You don't really know what to expect. So the goal of that class is really to help students along that transition and help them develop their toolbox of skills and resources that they can utilize throughout their college journey. We spend some time talking about career stuff. So this last week we did networking, talked about how to do an elevator pitch, how to introduce yourselves. We do resumes. We explore different career options within business, alongside the general college stuff, like how to manage your time, getting involved. So I really enjoy that part of it because it breaks up my day a little bit. I get to be in the classroom, right? Going back to how I wanted to be a teacher. But remember, that was like kindergarten through second grade, not college students. But now I do teach college students, and I have a lot of fun with it. I really do. I enjoy it a lot.
Do you think, and I mean, I found this, that teaching the first and second year seminar classes kind of impacted the way I advise. It kind of let me know what was really going on in these college streets. And so I was able to adjust maybe some of my meetings with students that I do not teach because I had a better understanding of what was going on campus, or kind of what the vibe was with different instructors or classes. Have you found that to be similar experience?
I think for me, it might be the other way around.
Okay.
So I think I take the things that I hear from advising, and I kind of observe what the students are doing, maybe what questions they have, and then I try to implement that in my classes, right? Because I want to catch those questions and challenges earlier.
Okay.
Right. So if my juniors are coming to me with those questions, I want to prepare my first year students with those questions and resources. So I would say probably flip for me, but maybe I just need to pay more attention to see if it's the other way as well. But off the top of my head, yeah, my advising influences my teaching for sure.
And I definitely think you can go back and forth and vice versa, but it was interesting, just the information. And in particular, I was dealing with second year seminar, and that can include people with various unit amounts. And so it was interesting, some of the information. I think that is really kind of a segue into, a topic that's kind of undiscussed really and truly in regards to advising and supporting students through tragedy. And if you're listening, you're not aware, UNLV experienced a horrific tragedy on December 6, 2023 that we are still processing and dealing with individually and collectively. I know that the tragedy directly impacted the Lee School of Business building. That's where your office is located, the dean's office. And so I want to know your thoughts and feelings and emotions from that day to current, professionally, personally, and what you would kind of like to share about that.
Yeah. It's been a lot. I'm not going to lie. I did wear my UNLV strong shirt today. If you can see that, in support of everything, but it was just horrific. Like you said, the day started normal, right? It was a normal day. I was on campus. I was not in the building at the time. Thankfully, I was in the building next door at a class with one of my colleagues. The students were doing their end of semester Shark Tank presentation. It was all exciting and everything happening. Then, of course, we all got the text alert from the university, and it's like our hearts just sank immediately. You can just feel it all over the room. Thankfully, we were in a room where we were able to use our card to lock the door. So my colleague decided that we were just going to stay put until we were cleared to go. So that's what we did. But during that time, it was just trying to be there for our students, comforting them, encouraging them to talk with their support ones, their loved ones, call their family members. But I would say that incident really just changed everything. Right at the end of the semester, coming up on finals, registration is still happening. Within the Lee Business School, our students still have to apply for their majors. And I think the hard part for me was that nothing stopped. You know, like we were still on go, go, go mode. I don't know. It felt interesting at times because sometimes I couldn't tell if the students really recognized what had happened. And this is not every student, but I felt like the demands from the students to respond to their emails and to get their appointments rescheduled was a lot. It was a lot. And I know for them, maybe it was just, well, business still has to get done, right? I still need to figure this out. And of course, we were still there for them. We were, of course, also still encouraged to take time if we needed to, and we did. It did change a lot, though, because we moved from working on campus, getting to see our students and connect with them, to then having to just work fully remote.
Okay.
Which was different. A lot of our appointments were still remote because we had that option for students. They could choose remote or in person.
Right.
And I'd probably say more than half of them were still choosing remote. But there's a handful of students who really dreaded to have that in-person connection again, you know, after we get back from COVID, right? And it's like, yay, we get to be in person again and see each other. And then it's like, oh, JK, never mind right now, not anymore. We have to go back to this virtual model, which is what we have right now. So we're still working remotely. So that effect has continued. Our building has been offline for this semester. So there's no student traffic. There's no classes in that building for this semester. Our services are also still remote. If you do have an office, so the faculty and staff that have offices in the building, they do have access to it. So on the days that I teach, I do go on campus. But it feels very different. It's very quiet.
Yes.
They do have security guards that are posted inside and out front of the building, which is really nice, but it's also, one of my colleagues said it nice, not nicely, but they worded it in a good way where it's like, it's a constant reminder of what happened and like why we need to be in this model. And I will make it clear, I did have the option to change my class to a virtual platform, but I don't like being virtual all the time.
Yes.
I need a little break. I need to get out of my house. So I needed those 2 days to be not at my house.
Right.
So I did make that personal decision to keep my class in person, which means me going to campus on those days. But yeah, everything just feels different. Students have a lot of questions. Students have a lot of concerns that we don't always have the answers to because they don't recognize it, but we're in the same boat as they are, you know. Yes. I spoke with a student last week and she was concerned that, you know, the fall schedule is about to be released. And the question was, what if there's this one class I need to take and the only section available is in BEH? Because they did make the decision that we are going to be open back in the fall.
Is this breaking news?
They sent out an email last week. It just came out last week that classes will resume in our building for the fall semester. So, you know, those student questions are filtering in, and she was basically asking, you know, if this is the only section for that class she needs, can she change it? And it's like, I don't know. You know, I don't know what that's going to look like. And she's just concerned. Like there's some students who don't want to be back in the building.
Right.
There's some staff who also don't want to be back in the building. So,
yes.
Yeah. So we're all kind of in the same boat, just waiting and just seeing how things are going to be really.
And I was going to twist and turn. The one thing that I really enjoy about working at UNLV and having a chance to work directly with the leadership is that I know they will be intentional and will do whatever it is to support the students, add an additional web-based sections. And so UNLV is pro student
Yeah.
success and resources. And so, that's why I want to really just open up and kind of discuss that question with you, because again, it's like you're dealing with it in both ways, again, professionally and personally, and just want to thank you for showing up and showing out for students. It really is appreciated, is really needed. What the CEO of the Boys and Girls told me, everything is different but the same, and life goes on. And I was like, was like, whoa, we had graduation. That was going to be my next question. Were you guys required to participate in graduation? Because UNLV, we moved right along.
Yeah, we've never had a requirement to participate in graduation. So before or after the incident, that was never a requirement. We can volunteer if we want to. So I've volunteered on the seating committee, just because, I don't know, I like to be at things like that.
Right, always involved.
Exactly. So yeah, that hopefully answers the question, because we were never required to begin with. I did sign up to volunteer on commencement day, but I ended up not doing that because the way the timing was set up, my plan was I was going to be on campus, go to graduation, come back, just get back to work. But now that we were at home, it didn't make sense for me to like drive to campus in the middle of the day when I had appointments before and after that time. So I was not able to do so. But I knew that students still appreciated having the opportunity to celebrate their successes, regardless of, this one incident that happened. So in that way, I am glad that they still had it, because, there's some students back in COVID who didn't get to have their graduation. That's a huge bummer. And I'm sure it would have been a huge bummer for a lot of students as well this time. So I'm glad that they did, but I did not go.
And if you don't know, UNLV gives the best graduation. Okay, when you think Vegas, put 2 and 2 together. They do a great job at hosting graduation, and we know how important that is to really celebrate that milestone of degree completion, degree conferral, and again, with UNLV having to make some really difficult and hard decisions.
Right.
And I think in the midst of it all, they are doing a great job and working kind of with what they got. And so, given all of that, I mean, how are you staying motivated to continue in higher education? I mean, that was more than enough to take a break, switch careers.
Yeah.
What are some of the, maybe even wellness, or just what's keeping, student stories, what's keeping you motivated to continue?
Yeah. I am a person who leads from passion, and I've always just had a passion for education and for helping people, seeing students succeed, seeing students move through their college careers, giving advice and things like that. So as cliche as it sounds, that really does help keep me motivated. I love seeing the students graduate, like we talked about. I got to see a lot of them at the last commencement that I went to, and it was just so nice to see them and give them hugs and high fives and all of that good stuff. The conversations that I have with students, but also the colleagues. There's a lot of great people like yourself, Dr. Butler, who work at UNLV that I get to connect with and do different things like coaching the TED speakers that really keep me motivated. So it's really just the people around me, for sure. There's lots of opportunities to be involved. I'm really appreciative of my supervisor, who is our director in our advising center, who, really caters to what I want my professional development to look like. So if there is a conference that I want to go to, or a networking session, or anything like that, she's never really told me no. Anything I want to be involved with. And I really just appreciate that support. So I can have my advising, but I can also do different things like the teaching and being involved with NACADA and Stupski, and really getting to do all those things to kind of mix it up so it's not all the same all the time. And then, of course, there's, self-care. I like to
Yes.
do dance fitness, go to the gym. That's my way of decompressing after a long work day. I just close my computer. I'm better at not checking emails out of work time, but we all that's a struggle all the time. At one point, I had my email deleted from my phone, but I got it back. But I really don't check it as much. I try to make sure that my work stays within those work hours. And again, appreciative that in my office we have a culture where no, it's not work time anymore. Like, don't be answering your emails, don't be doing anything. So that really allows me to leave work at work or after 5 p.m. just do what makes me happy. I've been reading a little bit lately.
Okay.
I love reality TV, so all the trash reality TV.
Yeah, the trash TV. Yes, I'm into it also.
Absolutely love those. Just an escape for a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of how I stay motivated, how I decompress for myself. And then, of course, professional development. We launched the micro-externship program, and I also participate in that micro-externship program, which we didn't talk about earlier. So I guess I should share. That's like a big thing that I do. So with the Stuffsky grant that we received, one of our initiatives is a micro-externship program where academic advisors on campus get to shadow different units that are not advising units. So things like the registrar's office, financial aid, the IT office, get to shadow. And it's an opportunity for them to just get out of their offices, network and connect with other colleagues on campus. And two, it's kind of making the way for us to break down silos so that we can better communicate and collaborate so that we can support students. So that's an initiative we rolled out in the spring of 2023. And at this point, we've had over probably 50 advisors. I know in the first semester, we had about 30 alone in the first semester, and then we've had more since then. So I also participate in an externship alongside, coordinating the program with my colleague. So this semester I am externing with the Office of Admissions and getting to learn all about their processes and hopefully get to sit in on some recruitment events. So for me right now, that's kind of my source of professional development. So yeah.
Yes. Shout out to all our colleagues over at admissions. Super, super helpful.
I know.
Super helpful to, to learn about their whole process. I always say admissions, financial aid registration, keep the university running. So that's super cool. I actually remember when you first was introducing it to the advising council. That was even before launching it. So to see that over 50 advisors have participated that's awesome. Again, that's the reason why I love UNLV. People are like, no, you don't. I'm like, yes, I do. It's a lot of things going on. Okay, the good definitely outweighs the bad, and there's a lot of intentionality in regards to advising and professional development, especially if you take the initiative and get involved. So I mean, what's next for you? What else do you have going on at UNLV or even off campus?
What do I have going on? I feel like I don't have a perfect answer to that question. I am here. I am enjoying all of it. The micro-externship has kind of been like my baby over the last year. So that still has a lot of my focus. Just continuing to be a better higher ed professional. You did mention in my bio, I am interested in getting a doctoral degree at some point. I haven't necessarily started the process of that yet. I did tell myself I wanted to, be in my first role for around 3 to 5 years before I started looking into that, which I'm coming up on my 3-year mark. So I should probably start looking at that soon. There is an opportunity to move up or seek to move up as a senior academic advisor in my college. So I'm hoping to have conversations with my director about that so that I can continue within that role. But that's kind of it. We're chilling in a way. I feel like with me going from high school to college to grad school to now work, at one point I looked forward to not looking forward to the next move, to just kind of be working for a little bit, but not for too long. I think that, within my role and within all the opportunities that UNLV and NACADA has provided me, I don't necessarily feel bored or complacent. Like there's always things happening that I can
always stuff to do. Yes.
There's always something. So I don't necessarily feel that push yet to try and figure out what's next, which is okay, because I will probably stress myself out if I start to do that. But definitely looking forward to a doctoral degree in the future. So wish me all the luck. I'm going to hit you up for all your tips and advice and everything. Once I do that, maybe I'll finally add a UNLV degree to my resume.
We have to come back. Okay, we'll have part 2, the Reno UNLV. Yes, and shameless plug, UNLV, the College of Education, has a great doctoral program. I don't know. I have this thing that I do where every campus that I work at, I get some type of degree. So at UNLV, I earned a graduate certificate in nonprofit management. Like I have this thing. So yes, I'll be here to support you in any way that you need.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So as we come to a close, any last words or information or best practices or quotes that you would like to share with the audience?
The first quote that comes to mind is, do what you love and love what you do. That's just something that's been stuck with me. And I recognize that I've had the privilege of choosing the jobs I want to choose, and choosing those jobs based off of my passion and my own interests, not because I need to have, well, I do need to have a job. You know what I mean? So I've been grateful. Yeah, I've been grateful that, all the roles I've been in, it's truly out of my passion for serving people. And then also just advice that being open to change and being open to different experiences. I never thought that I would be an academic advisor. But, it all goes back to what are your core values and what it is that you want to do. And that can look different, right? So I'm not the teacher I thought I wanted to be in K through 12, right? But my passion and my goal back then was to serve people and, instill the value of education in others. And I'm still doing that through higher ed, through advising, through our first year seminar, through our organizations. So, not limiting yourself with your options. So start with your values and your passions, and that really just opens up a world of opportunities to take on.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it. This is so exciting. I'm appreciative that you and Matt had me on here today to just share about my experience, and I'm open to questions if anyone has questions or anything like that. So connect on LinkedIn, we can chit chat and all of that good stuff.
As we conclude this insightful conversation with Tashauna Stewart, I want to express my gratitude for your willingness to share your journey and experiences in higher education, your dedication to supporting students' achievements, and your resilience in facing challenges inspire us all. I want to say thank you again, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.
Thank you so much.